Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're digging into something really interesting for you today. Can one specific number, a tight end's 10-yard split time, actually tell us something about their future fantasy football success? Okay, let's unpack this.
So what we're doing in this deep dive is pulling out the key findings from a really comprehensive study. It was actually part of this huge 65-part series called Does It Matter? They looked at data way back to 2003, and the focus was specifically on, how that quick burst off the line of scrimmage, does it translate into making plays, and maybe more importantly for you, scoring fantasy points. We're going to show you what this research says really matters.
And the way they did it sounds pretty solid. For this part, they looked at the top 50 PPR fantasy finishers each year, starting from 2003. And they used just the NFL Combine 10-yard split data. Then, they compared the fastest guys, those in the top 10 for fantasy points, to the ones ranked way down, 41st to 50th. The study called them the bottom 10.
Yeah, and when you start averaging out those 10-yard times for the different groups, well, a pattern jumps out. It's pretty clear. Get this. In 19 out of the 21 seasons they looked at, 90.5% of the time the guys finishing in the top 5 for fantasy points had lower 10-yard splits. Lower means faster, of course, faster than the guys ranked down in that 31st to 50th group. So it really points to a connection there between being quick right off the snap and performing well. It looks like more than just chance.
Wow, 90.5%. That's incredibly consistent. Okay, so the pattern's there, but did the research find like an exact time, a threshold that kind of separates the best from the pack?
They did, yeah. They used something called a differences chart analysis. It sounds technical, but it helped them pinpoint an optimal range. And that range was a 10-yard split of 1.61 seconds or faster, so 1.61 and below. And here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just a guess, they checked it. Tight ends who hit that 1.61 or faster mark, they showed up in the top 10 fantasy finishes 24.6% more often than the guys in the bottom 10. That's a pretty big jump in your odds of being elite.
Almost 25% more likely. Okay, but, for the stats nerds listening, how do they actually measure that relationship? Like, is there a specific correlation value we can hang our hat on?
Great question. They absolutely put a number on it. The study validated the findings with a Pearson correlation value, and it came out to...
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At BrainyBallers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting ability so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
To negative 0.191. Now, if you're not deep into stats, basically, Pearson tells you how strongly two things are related. Negative just means it's an inverse relationship. So the faster the time, the lower the number, the higher the fantasy production tends to be.
Okay, negative 0.191. How does that stack up, like compared to other metrics we use?
Well, to give you some context, something most people agree is pretty predictive is QB draft capital. That has a Pearson value of negative 0.219. So this 10-yard split for tight ends, it's right up there. Almost as strong a predictor as QB draft capital. That's pretty telling.
Yeah, that really puts it in perspective. It's not just some minor detail then. But is this something new? Or has this always been the case? Is that quickness becoming even more important maybe?
That's maybe the most important part. Looking across the decades, the analysis shows that hitting that sweet spot 1.61 seconds or faster is actually becoming more predictive over time. It's an increasingly significant factor for identifying those top-tier tight end performances. You could argue, maybe as the game changes, that initial explosion matters even more now. It's a trend worth watching.
Okay, so let's wrap this up for you. Our deep dive today pretty clearly shows that a tight end's 10-yard split, well, it carries some real weight. It seems to be a good predictor of their future NFL success, probably because it measures that explosive burst they need. So when you're looking at prospects, or even guys already in the league, maybe hoping for that 1.61 seconds or faster time, It's actually backed by data.
Exactly. And it kind of goes beyond just football stats, doesn't it? It shows how these really specific data points, things we might overlook, can actually uncover some powerful insights about performance and potential that were hidden before.
That's a great point. It makes you wonder, thinking about how just one measurement like this can predict something so complex. What kind of subtle things, maybe overlooked details, might exist in your own work or your hobbies or interests? Things that, if you could measure and analyze them, might unlock some surprising predictive power. What small detail could make a big deep dive difference for you?